Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters Money, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. I'd love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author in one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special reunion 2020 episode. What is that? That's when I bring on a guest that I had on in the past, and I liked him so much I had to bring him right on back. So today's guest is Dan O'Brien, and he's the co-founder over at Target Trading Academy. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
All right, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about current events, some trades, some opportunities that arose that you took advantage of. But before we do that, for the new listeners, I don't want to assume they caught your first episode. So let's just get into what you're doing over at Target Trading Academy.
Okay. Well, at Target Trading Academy, what we do is we teach people how to trade. We have a trading room, and we're constantly teaching them how to take advantage of the volatility in different markets, like, let's say, the S&P 500 index or the NASDAQ index or gold or silver, or not necessarily silver, but like gold and oil, natural gas, whatever, tends to have some good movement. Now, to be clear, what we're not doing is, let's say, giving out stock recommendations to buy IBM or something like that. As a matter of fact, we actually specialize in the futures market. And so I have a lot of clients who are retired or self-employed, and they have time, doctors, where they are actually trading for a couple hours during the day for income. And then they have their other long-term investments at maybe a Merrill or that sort of thing. So I don't want to confuse anybody in that way. So we are looking for trades really specializing in the futures markets.
I like it. And one of the reasons I love bringing you on the show is to give some of that extra perspective, because obviously there's a time and place and a percentage of portfolio that people put in your more traditional investment. But there's also the other side of the coin that I don't think really gets really enough play or enough media. So that being said, let's switch to some of the current events and some of the current trades that you've been doing, and let's get into that. So tell us a little bit more.
Well, today was actually pretty interesting. The last actually several weeks, it seems like the market is making new all-time highs literally every day. And that's great for everyone who has their portfolio that's long, whether it's a pension or 401k or maybe their own personal account. So that's great, but for a trader like what we do, it gets to be, when we get to these levels, it sort of gets a little bit slow and less volume and less volatility, which is why we look at so many of the different markets. However, today, there's some company out there started to sell a huge amount of S&P trades and or contracts that it may have generated in the futures market, but there was a very large drop today, where the S&P at one point was down 1%, the NASDAQ was down 1.5%, and then they got to a point where, well, at those levels, market traders and investors, for whatever reason other than it was just oversold, there was no special news that caught it, and there was a very strong reversal. And as a matter of fact, I just did a video on one of our trades today where after the market had made that low, I was sharing with the people in my trading room that I thought that the market was going to go even further up off the low. And then, of course, I gave the reasons for it with the algorithms and some other things. And we wound up actually taking that trade when it was finally generated. And in about 12 minutes, it was a $650 trade to long side after the market had made this huge move down that really unnerved people. On Wall Street. They were talking about it on the financial programs all day today. In fact, they still are. But we caught, a good part of the move down, but then after it balanced even on the way up. And so that's the great thing about what we do. We're able to profit on both directions of the market, provided there's enough volatility, and today there certainly was.
Let's get a little bit further into your process and some of the specifics that you do over at Trading Academy, because just to be clear, all trading communities or academies are not created equal. So let's get a little bit more background there.
Okay. And you are absolutely right. They're not all created equal. And the way I do it is, first of all, and I'm really big on this, is forget about, a chart indicator, all of that stuff, patterns and whatnot. I think it's really important to understand the overall context of what type of day you have. For example, a few days or even yesterday, the market was at a new all-time high, and the volume was very low. In fact, it was roughly 50% less than what we had today. So with that lack of volume and lack of volatility, I'm sharing with people, okay, look, we have to be extra careful on our trades because there's just not a lot of movement, and really try and pick our spots without being, very aggressive. And so that's important, the overall context of what's happening. I use Market Pro for the structure of the market. And then, of course, I have my own algorithms that I've actually built with a team of PhDs and master's level computer science programmers, and so they help quite a bit. So in a nutshell, you have an overall concept of, let's say, support and resistance levels, but then in between them, there comes a time where the rubber must meet the road, and where are you going to buy and why, and then what's your risk, and that's where the algorithms come in.
So what is kind of the basic layout for somebody that does want to learn more about the Academy? So give us a little bit more there. So if somebody's listening to this, they've always wanted to kind of go down that route, as you mentioned. So a lot of your clients are going to be people that may be retired, or they have, a little bit more time to be a little bit more active with their portfolio. Obviously, this isn't the person that's working, 15 hours a day right now building their assets. It's going to be real hard to trade and be in front if you're in the middle of your work day. So for the people that do it, it does make sense. What's the best way for them to kind of follow up and to get engaged?
Well, they can go to our website at targettradingacademy.com or follow us. I would suggest this on Facebook, because we put out a great deal of video content. And as a matter of fact, I just finished a video and put up on the Facebook page about that trade that was 12 minutes of $650 winner to the upside. And so they can get a real good insight of what we're doing watching the videos. And my partner, Patrick, puts a lot of videos up there on that Facebook page as well. But in general, when they go through the instruction on the website and then they come into the trading room, I'm there, of course, to answer any questions either publicly in the room, or if they choose to use a private message, if they're afraid to ask questions, which I wouldn't recommend. It's good for everybody when I answer these questions. But then, we give personal attention like that so that they're understanding what's going on. And so I'll say, well, hey, like in this example today, the market looks like it's ready to go higher. If they start lifting the asks and they start taking out stops, I think the market can run all the way to here. And as a matter of fact, that's exactly what happened. So a little bit of luck there, I guess, but maybe it's more 20 plus years of experience. But we lay it out for everybody, and there's step-by-step videos on the website, and and there's always a learning curve to anything that you do, but the way we have it set up, we really try to minimize that as much as possible.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Dan, it's been awesome catching back up with you on this Reunion 2020 episode. Excited to have you back in 2021, see what's going on over at the Academy. And as always, thank you to the audience tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you had fun listening. We had fun making this show for you. So if you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money, be sure to give us a subscribe there and leave us some comment section. Love to hear your feedback and what you're doing out there in investing. And Dan, thanks again for coming back on the show.